All right, everyone, welcome back into another preseason NFL DFS video. Going to be breaking down the two-game slate here for you guys on this Sunday. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I do want to call out that this is going to be a two-game slate. With it being a two-game slate, it is going to be a little bit more difficult to find, those decent edges that we had yesterday. Yesterday being an 8-game slate, we were able to pick and choose our spots to be able to have a good day. Today, that's not exactly going to be the case, although there are some spots that I do like on paper. And so we'll get into that. But first, I want to start out with the discrepancies that we currently have. And we'll do that using the PICK6 cheat sheet here for you guys. And so right now, there really isn't that big of edges. Tay Martin, slightly off. His receiving yards is at 23.5 on PICK6. He is someone that is likely to play a majority of the game there for the Niners. They are a little bit banged up receiving wise. And if you look at their past trends in the preseason, he is someone that typically does play a decent amount. We also have Emmanuel Wilson there as well, who we'll get into that in a second here. Could be in for a little bit more playing time, but maybe not. We'll touch on that. But really no big prop line differences here just yet between the sites that we have. Now that could change. The games are about 8 hours away. And so hopefully we do get some change in the information in terms of PICK6 to the point where we're going to be getting some massive edges. But let's call it the prop bets that we currently have today right now. So we got that two-game slate. We got the Packers versus the Broncos. And what we're seeing is Michael Pratt and Sean Clifford both have their prop lines at about 93, 94. The reason why that is because they are likely to both play a half of football. In the first game, we actually saw Sean Clifford play 38 snaps in that game to Michael Pratt only playing 23 snaps. So that is something where maybe that flips. They are in a QB2 battle. And so that could flip. And maybe we do bet that accordingly. Maybe we bet more with Pratt, less with Clifford. I'm not going there. I don't know if we have to go there, but there is a chance that happens. Bo Nix has seen his prop line come down throughout the day on PrizePicks and Underdog simply because it's more likely in this game that he is splitting the playing time more with Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson. Bo Nix ended up playing a majority of the snaps for the Broncos in week one. But given the fact that he has been getting a lot of the starter reps in practice with the Green Bay Packers and some joint practices, it makes sense for him to not get as much work. For the Saints, I don't know for sure if Spencer Rattler is going to play. Derek Carr is only going to play a few series, maybe into the first quarter, maybe into the second quarter a little bit, but not too much. That line is probably a little bit too much, and Brock Purdy is only going to play a drive or two. Let's go ahead and get into some of the receiving props here on PrizePicks. And some of the more interesting ones that we have are these ones on the top. It's like they're calling these out for us. They're begging us to bet on them. And so the reason why that is because Bub Memes, let's start with the Saints. So Bub Memes is someone that could sit in this game. I saw some reports suggesting that he could sit in this game. And if he sits, that would mean someone like Samson Nakua gets a little bit more work in this game. He is someone that did have a fine game last week, but I will mention most of his production came at the end of the game. Basically, actually all of his production came at the end of the game. So a little bit worried there in that regard, but I think he's a fine bet to bet is over. We are going to see Kevin Austin as well. That's an extremely low line for him. So A.T. Perry is another receiver for the Saints who is likely to sit. He's a little bit banged up. I shouldn't say likely. He could sit. We haven't got that confirmation just yet. But if he sits, that opens up a lot of snaps. A.T. Perry played 39 snaps last week. Kevin Austin actually ended up playing 42. And so if that happens, we're looking at some very good value for Kevin Austin to the point where he's going to be playing the majority of the game. It's going to be very difficult to imagine him not being able to get that over. Tay Martin's probably going to play a majority of the game. I would say that line is correct. From there, are we getting any other edges? I would say potentially here with the Packers. And so the Packers are going to be, I don't want to say thin at receiver. They're actually very deep at receiver to the point where they're not going to be playing their starters. They're going to be playing about 6 receivers. We have 4 of them up here. Okay. Toure probably will play the least amount of snaps between these guys. Grant DeBose played the most, 31 snaps. And it was Melton that played the most snaps. He played 39. Heath played 38. And DeBose played 31. DeBose looked good. He might not play as much this week, and maybe it's Toure playing a little bit more. But actually, why not go with a player that's listed a little bit lower in Malik Heath? That's decent. Ben Sims is someone that played a lot of snaps as well, guys. Ben Sims played 33 snaps. He wasn't productive in that, but he's someone that's decent. Lucas Krull, I don't mind as well. So let's jump into the running back spot here. So definitely some interesting spots running back wise. So the thought today is that Emmanuel Wilson is going to get the workhorse workload. That's going to be because the Packers starters are not starting in this game. And so what does that mean? Emmanuel Wilson should be getting a lot of work because Marshawn Lloyd is currently banged up. Their backup running back to Emmanuel Wilson has been banged up in practice. We got to see if he's going to play. And A.J. Dillon might not play all that much. My concern is that this is now year 2 of Emmanuel Wilson kind of looking like a stud, kind of looking like he should be the RB2 for the Green Bay Packers. Maybe that's a little bit more of a competition between A.J. Dillon and Emmanuel Wilson than the beat reporters are reporting, because again, on paper, Wilson has kind of looked better than A.J. Dillon for the past 2 years. Got a little bit banged up at some untimely times there for Wilson during the regular season last year, but that's definitely interesting. And so Howard is someone that could sit in this game. If he doesn't, I actually like his over. So it's a weird situation there. He could sit, but when we're playing on PrizePicks, it doesn't really matter if someone sits. Howard is not someone you would want to bet on PICK6. Just some other running backs that I want to talk about as well. Matt Breida played a majority of the snaps last week. Didn't really play all that well. He could play a lot of snaps again this week. I just don't really want to bet on that. If we had to, I would choose his over. James Robinson and Jordan Mims should be getting a healthy workload as well. I don't mind them. Again, that kind of feels like a guessing game. So with that, let's go ahead and get into a PrizePicks bet, and then we'll jump into Underdog for you guys. All right, guys. So because there's only 3 bets I like on PrizePicks, and I'll show you guys that here, we're going to be deferring to the 9-to-5 PrizePicks cheat sheet here. And we're going to be looking at some MLB prop bets. We can see we are getting some good EV bets. This one, Tyler, for over 1.5 hits around. That one has a huge edge. If that one's still available, by all means, bet that. And then hits allowed as well, under 4.5. Kind of a weird correlation there. Colin Ray for over 17.5 pitching outs. That's not a bad one. Again, all these ones that are really good EV bets currently, I do expect to get bumped. Let's try to find one where it might not get bumped. You got Andrew Abbott for under his pitching fantasy score of 26. That seems to be a good one. Again, we want to go with those first EV bets. By all means, yes. But if we can find some other prop bets where they're going to be available for a majority of you guys coming in and watching this video, by all means, let's target those. So we got 2, and then I'm going to go with Rafael Devers as the other hitting fantasy score one that I like, because we look at the PrizePicks line. That's the clear outlier in the data between the sportsbook line, the projection line, and the Underdog line. And then just real quickly as well for WNBA, we are getting some good edges here. Okay, so very nice there. Jackie Young for over her fantasy score. Just a decent edge. So this one has about a 56% chance to hit. We can see at 29.35, the data would already be favoring the over at about 53%. So because that line's a little bit lower, or a little bit higher than the PrizePicks line, we're getting a decent edge. The projection data likes the over there as well. All right, so getting into the PrizePicks bet of the day here, guys. Going to be running out those 2 MLB prop bets included in there that I just mentioned, as well as the WNBA prop bet that I mentioned. Again, just calling out, target the EV bets first if they are still available for you guys when you're watching this video. If not, then you can go to these ones. And then Kevin Austin, again, he should be getting a lot of snaps, maybe more so in the second half, but he should be the receiver that probably gets the majority of the snaps there for the Saints. Malik Heath just taking advantage of a little bit of a prop line difference between the other 2 receivers there for the Green Bay Packers. If PrizePicks is telling us his lines, or the other receivers' lines are at 26.5 and 27.5, then he should be there as well. And then for Howard, there's a decent chance he doesn't play. That's why I want to make this a 6 slip bet, so that if it's a 5 slip bet with the DNP, that we still get there. But if he does play, that's suggesting that he's healthy enough to play. And if he's healthy enough to play, he probably will be the leading snap getter or get a lot of snaps for the Green Bay Packers at the running back position. And now I'll be getting into the Underdog bets here as well, guys. If you guys enjoy the content for Underdog, one, make sure to give a like and subscribe. But if you guys want to sign up for Underdog, make sure to use the promo code 9to5. That'll give myself a little bit of kickback to the channel, which is also very useful, but also give you guys 100% match on deposit up to, I think it's still $250. I probably should update this, but it's going to be at least $100. So now just real quickly going over the Underdog prop bets that are available. Again, they're all a little bit different. If we're looking at more of an edge here, I would say Michael Pratt, we would want to bet his over a little bit more so on Underdog. Again, we're getting a slightly better edge. If you guys want to include Sean Clifford for his under passing yards, I don't mind the idea. Again, I think there's a little bit of a difference there. Let's jump on that in terms of playing time. Like Pratt could end up playing a little bit more. If we're betting on Malik Heath, the actual better spot to do that is going to be on something like Underdog. The thing with Malik Heath is he might get an end around, and really all these receivers have a chance to, but the Packers do those end arounds, those motions where they hand it off to the running back. I actually love the fact that we got the rush received yards with him specifically at a lower line. That's a pretty big edge there. Jake Haener is someone that could potentially sit, guys. Or sorry, Spencer Rattler is someone that could potentially sit. I don't think he's going to, but there is probably like a 15% chance he sits. He was a little bit banged up. Haener could actually get a little bit more work. I don't think that's going to happen. Probably don't need to worry about that. And then in terms of other bets that we were getting again, I don't really see a massive edge here. Like Tay Martin, that does seem to be pretty low, especially compared to his PrizePicks line at 26.5. I think we could go with that. I think he's still going to get a lot of work in this game. I'm kind of okay with that. But again, we'll just kind of refer to the 9-5 underdog cheat sheet here, seeing where we're getting an edge. And it's kind of okay, like I would say for the most part. Cutter for over his pitching fantasy score, that's a decent one. That's probably one I'll use. And then we could do Abbott for both. Again, bet is under fantasy score. But we're getting a decent amount of hitting fantasy score prop bets that we could use. So I'm kind of okay with all these. Let's go ahead and put in Crawford and Kwan for over their fantasy scores. And so what's nice about this bet here is that it correlates, but the payout's not really adjusting. So I do like that. Again, if you want to include Sean Clifford for his under passing yards, I don't mind that. There's a chance that Sean Clifford only plays about 20-30% of the game, and Michael Pratt plays the most. That's kind of my expectation, but there hasn't been any clear indication that that is actually going to occur. That is going to be all for today's video. If you guys want access to that PICK6 cheat sheet, which has been a huge edge for the preseason NFL DFS, make sure to check that out. It's available in the 9-5 membership for just $10 a month. Gives you access to those prop tools that you saw for PrizePicks and Underdog as well. All right, thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.